Hello, good morning, good night, who is on the other side of the world. Today we have here on Arteiro our Docker Captain, Cloud Native Ambassador, Nuno Coser do Carmo, and our big roast, George. How are you doing, guys?
Hello, Fernando. Hello, Jorge.
Hey, Nuno. Hey, Fernando. Nice to have. I love the backgrounds today. Amazing backgrounds.
Yeah, so hoje you have a new thing, is the MicroK8s HA. What's the 8A, Nuno?
It stands for High Availability. And let's have a deep dive, short deep dive, but into what it means actually. So are you ready, guys?
We are ready. Let's go.
Let's dance. So what I have here based on our past videos is like I have already installed MicroK8s for Windows. It relies on MultiPass that relies itself on Hyper-V. Okay, I will show afterwards what I did. So here I have my MicroK8s normal. It's running perfect. Then if I do a MultiPass list, you'll see my MicroK8s VM. That's how MicroK8s actually pre-installs it. You can see that it's running 18.04 currently. I am guessing that Canonical will update that in no time. Then I have other nodes here, the 2, 3, 4 that I will be using for the HA setup. So CP stands for control planes. Okay, that's the new name, not new name, that's the original technical name of what we used to call the master. Okay, but now the Kubernetes community is really, let's say, advocating for get ridding of masters, slaves, and all these terminologies, and then we will be using the normal naming.
Control plane and agent. Now
exactly,
control plane and agent.
Exactly. So here, actually, what I did is like I did create another agent. So if you remember the old video, actually, the creation goes like that. I use MultiPass launch. I give it a name. Then I pass a cloud init file. Okay, so the cloud init that I use for the agents is a normal one. I update the packages. I do the snap install of MicroK8s normal. I add the user Ubuntu into the MicroK8s group. And I just do a small change here just to be able to use snap as snap and not the full pass. Okay. I don't think I have like any secrets anyway, so that's good. All right, so here I created the agent. All right, so now what we can do is like, if you remember, if I do a MicroK8s add nodes, it will provide me with the link for adding the node. Here we go. I will copy the add node with the IP that is visible from Hyper-V level, okay? And now I can use the multipass exec of my, or inside my MicroK8s agents, and I will simply add the command just like that. Here we go. And now if I do use, again, the normal MicroK8s command from Windows still, kubectl get nodes, I will, all right, so here we go, right? Now, if I do the same here, okay, remember the agent is running MicroK8s. So if I do the same with the MicroK8s get nodes, it will not do it because now it states that this MicroK8s deployment is a node or agent inside a bigger cluster. So I cannot run no more the commands of MicroK8s. I need to go always here on the MicroK8s VM. Okay, so that might be a problem. Let's say if your MicroK8s VM suddenly like falls or let's say crashes, then your cluster crashes with it. So you need to bring back the cluster.
Okay, all right. So
normal.
This case is the normal case without HA, right?
Exactly.
We are okay, and now we will update to the HA to see the difference.
Exactly. So multipass list again. Here, these ones have been prepared not with this file here, but with this file here. Okay. And here you can see that I use this channel of the snap commands. Okay. So let me just switch quickly here. So this is the MicroK8s IO docs, and here is the high availability documentation. The link will be in the video notes. And here we can say like, okay, install the first node. Then you can install like that. But you can also refresh a node. What they call refresh is like update if you want, or change channel to the newest channel that they have here, which is the latest Edge HA preview.
Okay, so
now,
if you watch the first video and you already have the MicroK8s installed, you use the refresh. And if it is the first time we are using the MicroK8s, you use the snap style command, right?
Exactly. So here, what I will do is like I will need to run this command here. As you can see, the only thing that is different is this one here. So what I can do is like I will just copy this command here. Okay, come back. And now I can do a multipass exec. Now I need this command or this VM, a name, sorry. So put the dash, starting like, okay, everything that I will write now from now on should run into the VM, and I can pass. And if I do that, you can see now that it's downloading the latest Edge HA preview snap, okay, or channel if you want. It's uninstalling if you want the previous one. That was the latest stable because we installed it normal way. And then once it stops, it will again install it, and then it will restart MicroK8s for us. Okay, this one again might take just a few minutes. So if I just come back here quickly while it does that, when you were saying like if we need to install it from scratch, okay, the thing that you should say when you do install the MicroK8s from Windows, either the GUI way or the command way, what you will need to do is to actually pass just this part here, the channel, set the channel to this one here, okay, instead of the 1.18 or the latest stable, okay?
Okay, easy.
So here it refreshed it. Let's see if it's actually running it. So if I do a MicroK8 status again,
Let's be patient. The things are always slow when we are recording.
Here we go. So now you will remark two things. First, it changed a little bit. You have now a nice way of presenting, let's say, the add-ons. Okay, it's disabled or enabled. But here now, look, we have now a new entry here. So we have a high availability and equals no. Okay, so now that we have our own MicroK8s enabled to be HA, what we can do, so here, after I did the refresh, we can see that if I do a MicroK8s status, you'll be able to see now that the data store of the high availability is done. Okay, so for now, it's just running the local host and the port. And then the most important part here is like, look, beautiful here. Add-ons enabled, HA cluster. So now, if we are looking back again into the documentation, we can now simply add nodes. So let's do that. If I do a MicroK8s add node, it will give me back the add node command, and that I will be able to run into my other multipass nodes that I just created before. So if I do now a multipass list, just to ensure, here they are. In between, I just deleted the agent so to free up some memory. So here we do have a MicroK8s. Sorry. So I will do the multipass exec. I will choose my first one, which is my control plane 2. Okay. I will run just sudo and run the MicroK8s commands. And by doing that, it will add the control plane 2 as a control plane this time. Okay. So remember that the control planes have been created directly with the HA enabled. So we didn't have to do any refresh or anything. Okay. The commands from the very beginning, it's here. Like the channel, we choose the channel directly during the installation of the MicroK8s inside the control planes. So here it just says like, okay, waiting the node to join the cluster. Of course, here we go again. It's recording. It takes just a little bit of time, but the great thing is like it will work easily. And then what I will do is like I will add the MicroK8s CP3 and CP4 also to the nodes. Okay. In between, I will just show you how the cluster behaves. So to have an HA, high availability cluster, we need at least 3 control planes. Okay. Because there's this voting, what they call the voting system. It means that if something, if one of the cluster fails, then you need a witness to say like, okay, no, now we can move to the other one. Okay. So here it goes. So if I do a MicroK8s status again, and let me clean it up, it will still say that the availability cluster and data store has changed this time. Look, now we have another IP, but look here, it's still no, because we only have 2 nodes, right? So if I do the multi-pass list, the 154 is actually our own IP. Okay, so it already recognized that, okay, it's on a bigger, let's say, cluster happening here. It's no more local, it's no more the 127 for the data store, but now it's like the public IP if you want. So now let me do again the add node. So one thing that I really kind of miss from MicroK8s that happens to, let's say, be implemented in other Kubernetes clusters is that this hash here can be unique on other in other clusters, meaning you can simply add through the same hash into other or add other nodes, okay, with the same hash. For MicroK8s, however, you don't have one. For every node that you will add, you will need actually to run with the new commands. Okay, so let me just change to number 3 now.
So it's a single use code.
Exactly. Which is more secure, definitively, right? So it's a one-time done. There won't be any, let's say, nodes appearing into your cluster just by magic. But at the same time, if you need to, let's say, develop or make a script that will like create your cluster all in one, it might be a little bit more complex. Because as you can see here, it already checks like 2 IPs at least. The 172, which is the public one, and then the local one, the 10.1, so on. Here, I'm adding the CP3. Cool. Yeah. And now, look, this time, HA will be available. And now it's on, because now we have finally the 3 mandatory voting nodes. Look here. around here, I guess. Yes, here we go. High availability, yes.
Great.
Data stores the 3 IPs, okay? And look at this one here now. Data stores standby none. So just for the fun of it, now, just to end this short demo, let me add the node again from MicroK8s nodes always, okay? Come on, you can do it. I believe in you. Here we go. Let me copy it. Let me clean the screen. Let me again add it. Let me do it for the control plane number 4. And again, add the last node. And by doing that now, MicroK8s, so while it's doing it, MicroK8s now explains, or Canonical explains for MicroK8s, that we have 3 types of nodes. The 3 major replicating database participating in leader election nodes, okay? It's a long phrase to say like, okay, there's 3 commanding nodes that always will tell what the cluster, how the cluster behaves, okay? And then the database behind is SQLite. Here it is. It's from Canonical also, and that's the one that keeps everything like on a. It's a pair of key value, okay, and tells what runs where. Okay, so you have this, let's say, view of the cluster that is unanimous and let's say stable, of course. Then we have standby, so it's replicating the database, but it doesn't say really like which node is kind of the leader of the 3 voters, okay? And finally spare. So we will not work with this one here. We will see these standby nodes now should appear. So it's ended, that's what I wanted. And now if I do the MicroK8s status again, we will see again the voter nodes, only 3 IPs, but now where we didn't have none, for the standby, we will see actually the last IP. Here we go. Okay? So if I do a multipass list, just to confirm who is who, so I will just take the standby. The standby is my node number 4 that I just added. Cool. Okay, but what is HA? For now, we did the same thing that we did before. Is like we have one control plane, we add nodes, and okay, that's nice. So 2 things that are different. First, remember when we did for the agent at the first part, we actually did multipass exec, and then let's say CP2, for example, that's okay. And then we did try to do the MicroK8s, remember, status from there. It said that, okay, it can't do it because it's part of a cluster. Here, because it's a control plane, we can actually run our MicroK8s also, okay? The same goes for the kubectl, for example, get nodes. Command, here we go. I have my 4 nodes, all in HA. So now, what would happen? That was your question, Fernando. What will happen if node 1 goes down? In the first example, if we would have crashed it, the cluster will be unresponsive. Why? Because when you do, let's do this one, when you do this here, the cluster info, the API server, if you want, it just checks the IP of the node. Here it says local, but that's okay, because it's a control plane. So, but every node that we added it from the point of view of MicroK8s, right? That's what we did. We did MicroK8s add node. So my MicroK8s VM, in a sense, okay, if I do a multipass list, so my MicroK8s VM here is actually my leader node. Well, we are in HA world, so what happens Oops, that's not what I wanted. What happens if I stop it? Because yeah, I can. So
I
now
think the MicroK8s command on Windows won't work because it's linked to this instance you are stopping. But if you use the kubectl in other control plane, it will work because
Can you open another tab? This is a good question, Fernando. Can you open another tab on PowerShell and try to, at the same time, trying to do a kubectl cluster info?
Yeah, so what I just did, for example, this one.
Yep.
So now I'm running still the kubectl cluster info, still works. My MicroK8s VM, I just a second. I really understood, like it stopped. My kubectl is still working from here. If I do run the MicroK8s now, so your point, right? If I do the MicroK8s status, for example, it will kind of fail because this one is doing the same as if I was doing this one, like MicroK8s exec, MicroK8s VM. So here it fails. That's normal, okay? That your point was totally correct. It will fail the MicroK8s itself, but my cluster is still running. And if I do finally, okay, sorry, too much, MicroK8s kubectl get nodes, the node will be there, but it's not ready. But my cluster continues to live on. And even better, remember what we did before, right? So can I just run? Yes, I can. Beautiful. Where was it? Do I have a status? Okay, perfect. That's the status I was looking at. So look at this part here, okay? Now, remember, this one was the IP of CP4. So CP4, if I get the logic of HA, CP4 will move to the, let's say, control plane nodes, and the standby node now should be actually the MicroK8s VM, which was, the IP was MicroK8s VM 154.173. Let's get it done. So let me clean it up and do the final status. And what we have here, MicroK8 is running. I know that for a fact. And actually, okay, so because the node is totally gone, I don't have standby nodes, which is correct, actually. But
we
then
have the three voters.
152.186, 155.162. So these ones didn't move. But now look, 146.185 is actually now my node of CP4. It became the third control plane node, the voter node. And
so it was promoted. It was in standby because we have 4. It's an even number, and now we have only 3. All 3 are voters, and this makes the high availability. Now I got it. We need to have 3 or more to have the high availability. Oh, good.
Okay, so the 3 of them are voters, like by canonical terms, right? For MicroK8s, and our standby was gone. So now by starting again the MicroK8s VM, the snap will be restarting also normally. The MicroK8s will also restart, and finally we will have all our nodes. But then the MicroK8s VM will not take again its place at first, right? But it will stay at the standby node. So actually, just to ensure that I'm doing this right, multipass list. My micro VM, again, MicroK8s VM is running, 54.73, okay, 154.173. And now, finally, I can reuse my commands, MicroK8s, and do a status. And if I scroll up, once it has done it, hopefully MicroK8s it's running also. We might want to start it, but yeah, okay, cool. Here we go, 154.173. So the node came back. Your cluster didn't, let's say, your cluster didn't end. your node, you repaired it, you restarted it, it refreshes it, it goes again, it attaches itself again back to the cluster because we never removed the node. So the node now is back, but instead of being a primary node, okay, like a voter node, it stands on standby until some of these nodes are again down. That's the beauty of HA, really.
Yes, now I got it. And now the MicroK8s VM is on standby. This is
exactly.
Oh, no, that's great. And I think that when you say standby, just as a data store.
Yeah, so that's based on here. Like standby.
Yep.
Is that there's no leader election.
Yep.
Really, HA, it's something like what we discussed before. For me, it's like at first you added one node cluster, then you add the multi-node clusters, but with one control plane. And now we are entering this age of high availability, and all that on a single machine. That's just incredible, really.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Thanks a lot for showing us.
Yeah,
thanks.
My pleasure. And thanks to the guys at Canonical, MicroK8s team that, yeah, they're really moving needles right now.